So now we get to disposing of our receivables. Disposing does not mean that we throw them into the wastebasket. There's a couple of different things we talk about here. One is factoring, which is another word for selling our receivables. And then we will talk about using our receivables to get cash up front by pledging them. All right, so let's, the basic thing is that what we're trying to accomplish here is to get the cash from those receivables sooner than we otherwise would if we tried to collect them all, in-house. So there are factoring companies, and I have an example on Blackboard. You can look at, there's a link to a real factoring company so you can see exactly, I'm not really making all this stuff up. So you can see that there's really factoring companies out there. So the factor will buy the receivables from our company. The factor will generally collect all the receivables and then take a fee. They don't do this for nothing because they're doing all the work, and we'll get a check up front. So how does it look when we sell our receivables to a factor? Well, if you look at the example we have, it's, say we sold $60,000 worth of accounts receivable. Okay, so we're going to get cash up front. We're selling our accounts receivable. So notice our accounts receivable are coming right off the books. We are crediting our accounts receivable for $60,000 because we just sold them, okay? We're not going to get $60,000 because there's going to be a fee involved. So we could have, like factor fee expense or some other appropriate account here. But this will definitely be an expense to us. And say that was, say it was a 3% fee. That would be $1,800. And so they would deduct that out of the proceeds of the check they sent us, and we get a check of, say, $58,200. So that's factoring your accounts receivable. It's selling them to a company that will collect them for you. Okay. And doing the factoring, it used to be regarded as things that only companies who were in trouble did. Like, oh yeah, they must have real cash flow problems if they're factoring. Now, a lot of times, when companies weigh the cost benefit, they will sometimes find that it makes more economic sense, it's actually more efficient to have somebody else do all the billing, the collections, deal with the bad debts, deal with chasing people down, than doing it in-house. So it's not viewed the same way it used to be. So it may be actually good cash management. Okay, so this is factoring receivables. The other thing that can happen is we can borrow money using our receivables as collateral for a loan. So our company needs some money, rather than how you might take out a mortgage on a house or a condominium. The house or condominium is the collateral, and so if you don't pay, the bank comes and they get the house or the condominium. Well, it's the same thing here. The company will pledge their accounts receivable as collateral for a loan. So if the company doesn't pay the bank back, the bank gets the receivables. So that's called pledging. The pledge arrangement is usually just disclosed in the notes to the financial statements. We don't really have to do any journal entries for it. So I guess that's the good news there. Okay, so when we talk about disposing of receivables, we're talking about either selling them to a factor, factoring the accounts receivable, or pledging them, using them as collateral for a loan.